Well, hello, Dr. Nuzum here, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday. Today I have a few questions I want to answer, so let's just dive right in. Our first question comes from Diane. Diane asked, Doc, so what is a virus? Well, a virus is a microscopic parasite, okay? And it's a parasite because it's an infectious agent that has to come into our system and it needs a host in order to survive, just like any other parasite, okay? The thing about viruses is they're small enough to infect fungus, bacteria, parasites, and us. Okay? They attack us by latching onto our DNA and using our DNA to reproduce themselves. Therefore, they are a parasite, an intracellular parasite, and they are microscopic and they're the smallest of all pathogens. So our next question comes from Mary Beth, and that is, Doc, how do viruses affect us? Whew. There are so many viruses, number one, and there's so many ways that they can affect us, number two. This is a big question, so let me just kind of boil it down to the bare nuts and bolts here for you, okay? So viruses attack our genetics, okay? They attach to our genetics and they disrupt the expression of our genetics. So as they get into our genes and start messing with things, we start having these weird symptoms. As our immune system responds to try to fix that intrusion or that invasion that's just happened, and as they get into our system and start messing with our hardwire, our genetics, the immune system has these inflammatory responses to these viruses and attacks them and tries to extract them from our DNA and then repair our DNA again. And that only happens if you have a healthy immune system. If you don't have a healthy immune system, you're not necessarily going to have that response or get over the virus. So moving on to our next question, this comes in from Angela, and it is, what is a retrovirus? Well, a retrovirus is a virus that weaves itself into our DNA. Okay, instead of taking our DNA and replicating itself from our DNA, it actually is writing itself into our code. Okay, so it becomes part of our genome, part of our genetics. Okay, so a retrovirus uses RNA to write itself into our genes. So examples of this would be HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, okay, HTLV, okay, the human T-cell lymphocyte virus, okay, that causes different types of cancers. We got the herpes viruses, are retroviruses, and Epstein-Barr is also a retrovirus. Okay, so these things write themselves into our DNA. Okay, so they're harder to pull out of our system. So the last question is one that I get all the time. Doc, how do we deal with viruses? Well, number one, we have to enable the immune system to deal with them. How do we do this? The immune system has to adapt to viruses to overcome them. Adaptogens are my first line of remedies that I would go after to treat a virus. Adaptogens, including medicinal mushrooms, are excellent for enabling the immune system to overcome a virus. The next is proteolytic enzymes, okay? Protein or protease, proteolytic enzymes are antiviral. They go in and deactivate viruses. So that would be a second thing that I would use personally. Lastly, I would use fulvic and humic acids because they will chelate virus materials just like they do a heavy metal, okay? So they latch onto it and carry it out of the system. Super, super important function. So that would be the 1, 2, 3 approach that I would use in working with any virus. Well, I hope this was educational. These are questions I get pretty often, and I really enjoy these Q&A Wednesdays. So until next time, this is Dr. Nuzum bringing you optimal health naturally. Thank you.